The everyday mystery everyone ignores: step onto ice, and your body instantly understands something your mind rarely questions. It's slippery. Your feet lose grip, balance becomes unstable, and even a small movement feels risky. You slow down, adjust your posture, and walk carefully, all without really thinking about why. It just feels obvious. Ice is slippery because it's smooth. That explanation seems simple enough. Smooth surfaces reduce friction, so your shoes can't grip properly, case closed. But the moment you compare ice to other smooth materials, the explanation begins to fall apart. Glass is smooth. Polished metal is smooth. Even a clean tile floor can be extremely smooth. Yet none of these surfaces behave like ice. You can walk across them normally. You don't suddenly lose control of your movement the way you do on a frozen surface. So smoothness alone isn't the answer. Maybe it's the cold. Ice is cold, and cold things behave differently. That feels like a better explanation until you think about it more carefully. Cold metal isn't slippery. Cold stone isn't slippery. Temperature by itself doesn't create that same loss of friction. So now the mystery deepens. Ice is not just smooth, it is uniquely slippery. Even more strangely, this slipperiness exists in situations where it shouldn't. You can stand still on ice and still struggle to maintain grip. There's no obvious motion, no visible change in the surface, and yet the instability is there. It feels like the surface is doing something subtle, something hidden, and that raises a deeper question. What is actually happening at the surface of ice? Why does it behave so differently from every other solid material you interact with? For a long time, scientists believed they already had the answer. It seemed logical, intuitive, and consistent with basic physics. But as experiments became more precise, cracks began to appear in that explanation. Ice was still slippery, even when the theory said it shouldn't be. And that's when the simple answer stopped working. Because what makes ice slippery is not something you can see. It's not just about how the surface looks or how cold it feels. It's something happening at a level far smaller, where the behavior of matter itself begins to change in ways that defy everyday intuition. The old explanation that was wrong for a long time, the explanation for slippery ice, seemed perfectly logical. When you step on ice, your weight creates pressure. That pressure lowers the melting point of ice slightly, causing a thin layer of water to form beneath your foot. That water acts like a lubricant, reducing friction and making the surface slippery. It made sense. Pressure causes melting. Melting creates water. Water reduces friction. Simple, clean, intuitive. And for decades, this explanation was widely accepted. But then scientists started testing it more carefully. And things didn't add up. First, they noticed something strange. Ice is slippery even when you're not moving. If pressure were the main cause, then standing still should produce very little melting, not enough to create significant slipperiness. Yet even without motion, the surface feels unstable. Then came a more serious problem. At very low temperatures, the pressure required to melt ice becomes extremely high, far higher than what your body weight can produce. In theory, at those temperatures, stepping on ice should not create any water layer at all. But ice is still slippery, even in freezing conditions where pressure melting should be impossible. People still slip. Skaters can still glide. The effect doesn't disappear the way the theory predicts. So the explanation begins to break. If pressure isn't enough to melt the ice, then where is the slippery layer coming from? And if there's no liquid layer, why does the friction remain so low? The more scientists looked, the clearer it became. The classic explanation was incomplete. Pressure does play a role under certain conditions, especially near the melting point. But it cannot explain the full behavior of ice across all temperatures and situations. It fails in the very places where the phenomenon should disappear. And that creates a deeper mystery, because now the question is no longer just how ice becomes slippery. It's why it stays slippery, even when the original explanation no longer applies. Something else must be happening, something independent of pressure, something built into the nature of ice itself, not just how it responds to force, but how its surface behaves at a fundamental level. And the answer to that question turns out to be far stranger than anyone expects. The real reason ice is slippery, the real answer does not begin with pressure. It begins at the surface. At the microscopic level, ice is not as solid as it appears. Deep inside, water molecules are locked into a rigid crystal structure, held in place by strong bonds. But at the surface, something different happens. The molecules are less constrained. They don't have neighbors on all sides holding them tightly in place. Because of this, they are free to move slightly more than those inside the solid structure. They are not fully liquid, but they are not fully solid either. They exist in a kind of in-between state. Scientists call this a quasi-liquid layer. This layer is incredibly thin, only a few molecules thick, but it changes everything. It behaves more like a fluid than a solid, allowing objects to slide across it with very little resistance. And the most surprising part is this: it exists even when no pressure is applied. Even if you stand still, even if nothing is pressing down hard enough to melt the ice, this thin, mobile layer is already there. It forms naturally because of how molecules behave at the boundary between solid ice and the surrounding air. The surface is always slightly disordered, always slightly mobile. This is why ice feels slippery the moment you step on it. You are not creating the slippery layer, you are interacting with one that already exists. Pressure and motion can enhance this effect. They can increase the thickness of the liquid-like layer, making it even easier to slide. But they are not the root cause. The slipperiness is built into the structure itself. At the surface, the rules change. The solid becomes unstable, just enough to reduce friction dramatically. It's not a full transition into liquid water, but it's enough to create a boundary where resistance nearly disappears. This is what makes ice unique. Other solids do not behave this way. Their surface molecules remain tightly bound. Maintaining friction, even when polished smooth ice, however, naturally forms this ultra-thin lubricating layer simply because of how its molecular bonds work. So when you slip on ice, you are not just losing grip on a smooth surface. You are sliding across a constantly shifting boundary, a place where solid matter is quietly behaving like a liquid. And that's something most people never realize, because from the outside, it looks like a simple frozen surface. But at the smallest scale, it is anything but still. When ice stops being slippery by now, it might seem like ice is always slippery. If the surface naturally forms a quasi-liquid layer, then sliding should happen no matter the conditions. But this is where the story becomes even more interesting, because ice is not equally slippery all the time. Temperature changes everything. As the temperature drops further below freezing, the motion of molecules begins to slow down. The surface layer, that thin, fluid-like region, starts to shrink. The molecules lose mobility, becoming more tightly locked into the solid structure. The quasi-liquid layer becomes thinner, less dynamic, less able to behave like a fluid. And as that happens, something noticeable occurs. Ice becomes less slippery at extremely low temperatures. The surface can become almost rigid. The thin lubricating layer that normally reduces friction is no longer strong enough to allow easy sliding. Instead of gliding, objects begin to grip more. This is why walking on very cold ice can feel different. It may still be smooth, but it offers more resistance. The instability is reduced, and the surface behaves more like a typical solid. This also explains something skaters have known for a long time. There is an ideal temperature for ice skating. If the ice is too warm, it becomes too soft, increasing drag. If it's too cold, the surface becomes too rigid, reducing glide. The perfect condition lies somewhere in between, where the quasi-liquid layer is present, but not excessive. a delicate balance. This shows that slipperiness is not a fixed property of ice. It is a condition, a result of how molecules behave at different energy levels. Change the temperature, and you change the behavior of the surface. The same material can feel dramatically different depending on its microscopic state, and this reveals something deeper. What you experience as slippery is not just about the material itself, it's about how that material behaves under specific conditions. Ice is not inherently slippery in all situations. It becomes slippery because its surface enters a state where friction is minimized. The effect is dynamic, always shifting, always dependent on the environment. So the next time you step onto ice and feel that sudden loss of control, remember, you are not just interacting with a frozen surface. You are interacting with a system that is constantly changing, balancing between solid and liquid, stability and motion, grip and glide. The hidden behavior of matter by now. Ice no longer feels like a simple solid. It looks solid. It feels solid. But at its surface, it behaves in a way that doesn't fully match that definition. A thin, ever-changing layer exists where the rules soften, where rigidity gives way to motion, and where friction quietly disappears. And that idea goes far beyond ice, because what you've just seen is a deeper truth about matter itself. We tend to imagine solids as fixed, stable, and unchanging, something you can rely on to stay exactly as it is. But at the microscopic level, nothing is truly still. Atoms vibrate, bonds stretch and compress, and surfaces behave differently from the structures beneath them. The boundary is where things become interesting. At the surface of any material, atoms are less constrained. They don't have neighbors on all sides, which means they can move more freely. In most materials, this effect is small. It doesn't change how the surface feels in a noticeable way. But in ice, it does, because of the unique way water molecules bond. That freedom becomes significant, enough to create a layer that behaves almost like a liquid, even when everything appears frozen. And once you understand that, something shifts in how you see the world. The properties you experience, smoothness, hardness, slipperiness, are not fixed traits. They are outcomes of deeper interactions, shaped by temperature, energy, and molecular structure. What feels solid and stable is often the result of countless tiny motions, balancing out beneath the surface. Matter is not static. It is dynamic, constantly adjusting, constantly responding. Ice just makes that visible. It takes something familiar and reveals the hidden complexity behind it. A simple step becomes a lesson in molecular behavior. A slip becomes evidence that even the most ordinary materials are more nuanced and more surprising than they appear. So the next time you walk across ice, remember what you're really experiencing. Not just a frozen surface, but a boundary where solid matter quietly begins to act like something else entirely, and where the true nature of reality becomes just a little harder to hold on to.